Hello, hello species value nature system. Hello species value nature system. YouTuber Anthony Wall. Oh, CNN. I appreciate your It was fun. Your your presentation of New York and all that. That was good. But it's now at the same time though, New York had no news, which is not the fault of anybody on camera. It's a fault of the identities of legal in nature you're asking questions to, recorded in a crime method that has the modern nations of each area and state of each modern nation criminally foreign influence. And so what was taught as science as the job of it, the defenses of that require lies and delusions to justify themselves in relationship to other, where it doesn't accord with correlation, and with people who need to use only correlation, what is simultaneously inherently actively and progressively inherent to it. See, now the only reason this hasn't been discerned, like about the identity of our nature, which is a trinity, scientifically, hasn't been discerned with science, the identity inventions work in relationship to or not, then further positive or not. See, we don't have science, but everyone's told that's science. And that's in relationship to an sustained crime methods on states and areas. Now we can't leave. It's critical. We're going to do this simultaneously, so it's critical we do this with New York. They have to understand how they've only been hearing theater voice, not science's voice, because that starts fights. That pretends with worse than physical delusions, that branches have the integrity to start fights, and that's recorded. And it's recorded how that was facilitated to maintain them, a finite, active body of value lies, progressive lies, identity theft rackets rolls. That's what that is. Like, that's not doing any care for anybody. It's hurting everybody. It's keeping that just hurt. In other words, in other words, to counter who hurts color, even as fake help for it. What hurts the gay rights, even as a fake care for it. That's what you guys are doing, seeing that, because you're furthering child offenders, because you're pretending, because people say, like when they take the position against Kevin Hart because he made something in a post a long time ago through you guys. Now you guys, with Dave Chappelle and that treatments of topics but you're leaving out sequence shifts. You're not letting reported Trade Center tied crime acts, CCSU, and with you guys associated with misinformation with them. Now, please help. Please help, because WFSP stole my identity. They stole the identity of my family members. And I could prove that recorded. They attached me and them to fake relationships to other, fake locations, fake sequence ships relationships to other. They went out of their head ahead of time, went out of their way ahead of time, recorded themselves trying to pretend other. Worse than this, honestly, and with delusions wrought. And these are people involved with all kinds of crime, with forensics people associated with all kinds of police, and state police associated with the Phil Cologne, associated with a bunch of people in a forgot their name now. So, a Scalora family that sought me out to make confessions. I never had a conversation with them. I never verbal responded. I don't know who these people are. Those people, and I explained everything, the exceptions. There's one exception. I'm not sure if it was in the person side. That was not even an exception because I said no words that time. One time I was told to go into a place. I think it was on Franklin Avenue. Someone goes, look, and I looked over there, and that was it. And then these are people that have been pretending they know me behind my back through time. And then to my family members, including with the police, forging names, switching names. It's a problem. Interbranch, grouped together, because they have people in the background that are pretending to have integrity. They already locked themselves into database crimes in the past. This is a crime method that's intercampuses of different natures too. How they facilitate it. It's bad. There are more predators with Wethersfield campuses, and the same ones in Wethersfield are intercampus, intercity, and medical campuses and fire department campuses are also criminally involved. Also, interbranch family campuses and locations like the town offices, the community center, and houses next to these locations. There are people, I don't know if it's real news or fake news, they reported that they drugged a kid. The court ordered him drugged on next to one of the houses. I forgot the name of the street. I always forget to look at the name of that street. The one that's on this that's perpendicular at the end of Highcrest Street, opposite to Hangdog Lane. Both those corners are involved with Russian and American, other nations associated with fire departments, medical campuses. I don't know all their names. With crimes with the Leahy family, with various police, the police chief, retired and standing. Detectives with Wethersfield Police, retired and standing, further criminally involved as a huge group. With more child offenders. See, now they're playing little games here. And they have Don Lemon. How old is he? That's news. Then what? He's gonna pretend because he's gay that I'm pointing out he's not news. Then he pretends he's about politics. News is not supposed to be about politics. We're supposed to free speech. You guys are supposed to free speech, not be theater that's criminal and serious this nature and valuing it because that is being exploited. So New York news, I'll donate because I don't want to be a news guy. I'll donate. We're gonna mean stack because that's it. We're gonna make that's our industry is too. We need to teach about slavery because you guys have that so sick taught wrong. It's an organized crime method that was entrenched here with the fact-cheating nature of slavery of our founders. Recorded that valued, obfuscated, fake. And by little tricks, only letting people hear that. They're keeping a nature to each identity of the ground that's used it's exploited in relationship to a database crime method that has the kids used of that originally interbranch in military, criminally foreign influence then and now effectively, easily, especially with psychology. Delusion's raw. You have no quality attention to detail. Oh hell, Campus Marcius calls you home. Culture. Shouldn't have to beg for my freedom, for my identity back from fake news. CNN and national news, you have obligations more than them. They know about this because they were criminally involved with this since before they put those fake news crime acts and made it worse. WFSB. And demonstrably people off police forms associated with Fox CT and with the clubs, the policing of the clubs there. Their crime rolls with them with people with the Wethersfield Park. Everything associated further fire department people. Intercampuses with that through time too, and with this Della Fera family too. In the back, peripherally, and with the other ones associated with on off Fox CT. So these are crimes and cases leading up to cases. In other cases, there's just an offensive, all kinds of tricks where they're stacking fake, they're switching officers' names all kinds of ways, switching judges' names and sequences all kinds of ways, because then they involve the state's attorneys forging and switching names. Tricks like that to seed records, torture people, and worse than extortion, which is 10 years in jail. In other words, so I see that these laws are sicker than all get up. But this is what they're doing, though. So this is how we can fix it here, because they also are worse than criminally incompetent, incapable of maintaining the guise of integrity that they have been, that putting people in prisons that they're already criminally involved with, online policing, crime acts, and natures of this, roles with the identity thefts, in the database crimes, and the extortion crimes, property rights crimes, thefts, sabotaging people's educations, maintaining groups used as misprision weapons. In other words, sick things they're doing. And see, we have too young the kids going to be undercover. All juxtaposed with overt criminal enterprises. Them in collusion with the branches, everything undercover, private, shared nations, hundreds of sick together, suit and tie. Who invented that? The counter is not. Modern. You know what I'm saying? I'm just asking to report crime acts. They need people to go next to people who aren't going to. These are from the director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and his co-defendants, federal criminals. A whole bunch of them associated directly and indirectly with a whole bunch of people involved with database crimes at the campuses I went to, each age of them. This took the identity of the grounds education before anyone was born. Before they divided the Native Americans and made that cause negative value nature progressions, that they got them valuing, blamed on other things, on others themselves, because they have everyone's education tactically denatured, not without time for it, consciously. These are little tricks that are not on the records, that are in conjunction with these programs they have with Washington D.C. and the Justice Department recorded criminally foreign influence, and originally still effectively, because everyone's making opinion, pretending they have opinions. Now one person has an honest opinion. They have physical delusions too. Pretend. See, it's a big thing when everyone thinks that they heard knows, and they know. Doesn't, regardless if even they know who's who. That's got nothing to do with reality. Marbury versus Madison is reality. Freedom of speech is reality. That's not being allowed. And you guys aren't allowing sequence shifts that are connected to the ones proven after the fact, but that were affected, making the judges in the trade center attack context see post-dated documents and think it was filed and rule it was filed late. Then that was proven. They were hand delivered on time stamped inside the court on time. Someone post-dated them to appear late. That proven led to defendant, former director of the FBI, involved with all the people involved criminally with the people that in my area that I never had anything to do with, that are my grade, associated with one of them that I only know, from context they couldn't be honest about. But they, just because I see someone sometimes, they hang out with their cousins. I didn't know his cousins. See, that's why they got stuck needing to pretend now so offensively hard, needing to pretend I know his cousins. That's where Bob Chase. See, these are people that had crimes with the witness protection program and with the FBI, with forensics associated with the body dumping spot of Billy Grasso. Now that's associated with the Dillon family and with the Faenza family that are recorded and confessed involved crimes on and off the state judicial branch offices. And with a house across the street from Sal Saviello, recorded and confessed involved crimes with people down the street from me. All retired and standing police forms associated with this Dillon also criminally. I don't know the new and past neighbors. One of the new neighbors have an agent and a Dillon also. I was talking about Kevin Dillon because he's the one tied to their conversations about, I mean, their confessions repeated about calling the police about a car in front. That's also with them recorded and confessed involved through time with surveillance of drug people involved with the people that actually do it. Like and with the police forms in Rocky Hill, associated with a Brian Bonin, and with a Paul Zano and a John Mayer, recorded involved with the crimes with the WFSB and the Fienzas, and crimes with lawyers associated with a McCord and the girl that sued him, and Mike Pandolf and Ray Reynolds, associated with medical corruption and lawyers corrupt. They make fake sides of issues, identity theft rackets. They make it a deposition to make it look like I know these people. They're also recorded confessed involved with people that were involved for all kind of insidious wire crimes, illusion stacking, affecting of confessions through each age of fact shaping nature, because they have like 5, 6 brothers. They're going out with like 5, 6 sisters, like one or two of them. They made all the confessions. Meanwhile, one of them's going out with 2, 3 guys, like in my age range, in my class, and they made me stay back when I was tied to this. The only reason I did is because of this, because they made those confessions. In other words, they make everyone make it for they're building misprision, the strangers that then can't go back and be honest about the future. But now it's important because there are more child offenders, and these are rackets associated with the educational department. Each department of the campuses individually grouped and together maintain criminally foreign influence tools of what keeps group knaves together, all together, keeping that states and areas keeping leaders forced to entertain pseudo-positive, criminal insidious system nature that never had the right to be legalized. So, CNN, can you guys please, for once in life, allow real news? Fox News, can you guys do it? Who could be first to be the first real news? Politics all year round, fake politics in the first place, it's so many ways election crimes, then trying to pretend to be against it. You guys shouldn't be taking positions on anything. You should admit your theater. You're a social construct. And you should allow the real news to demonstrate your physical delusions, your criminal foreign influences, especially regarding math and regarding reality. Because you're take concepts of reality originally and still needed to be demonstrated with the quality of fact treatment nature I'm using here. Correlation nature simultaneously inherent active and progressive means by what is truth while as all exceptions. You guys are criminally exploiting these exceptions because you're made to do that by a victim predator. You're a victim predator of a child abused branches. Now, so and you're forcing fights and you're pretending with the courts that are criminally involved. One of their tactics is to pretend that people should sue for their rights when they're offensively prevented. In other words, pick and entertain them, separating what is inseparable. Extortion is inseparable from slavery. Torture is inseparable from slavery. Fake religious rights is inseparable from slavery. All this is recorded. States and areas inclusion with interbranch really sick people, originally and still. It's not their nature naturally. It's because they were how they were raised to it. So my father told me once, you can put a frog in water, warm water, slowly turn it up, and the frog will die in the water. But if you put it in the boiling water, it's gonna jump out. Used to live in Hartford near a cemetery. That's at the end of the Brooklyn Turnpike before the heart of Hartford. Used to live on Yale Street, which is right there. And that's where J.P. Morgan is buried. J.P. Morgan had to loan money to the government to fight the world wars. We had to fight the world wars really because, demonstrably, most probably, because George Washington had to get help with the French general then through an agreement that would be long lasting. Because of the same enemy that's not one nation. But in other words, they each had to counter it differently. England had to be semi counter extorted to be our ally, and was still not liberated here or there. But we have physical delusions about things like dictators, kings, politics. What do they think they are? They're dictators. No free speech. Got news stealing our identity, and they fake recorded things, stick it in the database, and that's it. They have people without, you know, we have no obligations to entertain the physical delusions and the ill natures of people who can't respond when we need to counter crime acts on our kids and online. Insidious, the sick people with the courts using Facebook for crimes as people recorded with drug clicks associated with the medical clicks that attach me to fake conversations, forge names of doctors, write sick things in the database about people, spread lies with the various nature of the court, sickly, criminally involved with the news now through time too. So don't stay there like that, CNN and Fox News. Crush these, clean them, fake news. And what lifted them? Because they lifted to it slowly. Also, there's a Mike Levine recorded, confessed, and demonstrated criminally involved. People associated with on-off businesses, share police with these families that are with overt criminal enterprises, and with like how the branches are with them, and they're criminally foreign influence. But those people also have their own roles, criminally facilitated the crimes with the overt criminal enterprises in the past, and then now that they're recorded manifest needing to hide that and offensively doing it because they're stealing my speech. They're lying every time I open my mouth because they stole my identity to a fake conversation with the news. And they force child sex offenders and medical offenders and interbranch recorded even female judges' roles with it. And with their drug clicks with the prosecutors retired and standing and long time and newer criminally involved. Also recorded, confessed, involved with crimes with a whole bunch of people from my town. Not just a whole bunch of people associated with the corner of Fox CT and around WFSB pretend to receive things. These are offensive evidence perception rackets originally and still. See, color, black, they love to kill, love war. Then they have little explanations about it. Meanwhile, we have the whole area of criminally foreign influence. They're blaming drugs so they can lock people away. Innocent and people who didn't, never who were tortured, never had religious rights, never had freedom. They're using. They don't care if they cared about integrity when it came up to medical marijuana or marijuana for recreation. They wouldn't have K2 in the stores. They wouldn't have those kind of synthetic drugs in stores. We have sick fakes without pretending they're about legislation, pretending they're about maturity. And the only reason this stays is because the mandated law is not allowed to follow criminally, offensively. So there's a big problem that it's not like I'm walking into a New Year's Eve party and saying this. I mean, I should be at one. I shouldn't be here waiting to fix this. I've been asking since before the Trade Center attack. From the same people who recorded, facilitated the crimes, interstate and intercampuses first, and then interstate and intercampuses crime acts, and those illusions used to pretend not to realize their crime acts in the Trade Center attack context. Also reportedly that I don't know her, but she per her speaking to other people, Claudia Scalora had sex with one of the Joe DeMoros, who's a police officer in my town, that was criminally involved with girls, and with a Joe DeMoro, I mean with a Mike Kerr, like when we were little. I don't know them. That was in middle school. They made all these, I know them only from those contexts. They sought me out to demonstrate, confess, and record, and that was a person I only knew remember a few times in fifth grade, Joe DeMar. I don't even know if it was really in my class. And that's with a Pruzzi also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, facilitated the crimes with all the natures of crimes at CCSU. And the crime methods they're doing, pretending in the background what they can't pretend forward without keeping the left out how they used all those, all the people. Criminally, they needed to be nonsense. In other words, they have crime methods and cases every day per their treatments of things because they're leaving out correlation, nature, voice. In other words, straight line progressions are onto Garden Street in Hartford, the north end of Hartford. You have to lie about Hartford. It was engineered for that. That's why our founder's slavery encompassed George Washington come to Hartford, Wethersfield right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War and had to leave slavery overt. Right here between New York and Boston, right before the last battle, and even with the French general's help. So we have people that pretend that was George Washington had rules with that. So he did chop down the cherry tree, but until he could tell no lies, there are still fake branches up that we must chop down. That's what the Constitution says, because that was entrenched, and that's still entrenched. And how it's still entrenched is reliant upon fake news identity theft acts that are preventing offensively predatory courts originally still involved with overt criminal enterprises. And the way they're getting away with it individually grouped in together is because also all private in the identity of the ground itself. All the systems we have on and off the records, before they were sophistication, the nature of everyone was a criminal insidious nature tool. They built this to stay that. Wick of evil. Flame of wrong. Boxing is strong. I tell best. So there are a whole bunch of people associated with the Justice Department, associated with like programs, teams, and stuff like that for the jobs going into it. I'm going to go into the criminal justice field. That's where we have Campus Marxist criminally re-engineered. We need the name. It says New York Gang and New York News. See, we're gonna stack means because that's what's gonna make that ancient gaming system so great, is because the ancient gaming system, the people who join this network, you own the projects we're gonna do because it's a school. We're taking over every grade. We're gonna address. We're gonna force respond. We're gonna force positions and counter positions to where there are recorded physical delusions that we could demonstrate. Where to the and where there are ones where we can force people to take positions out where they wouldn't otherwise, to perpetuate roles exploiting where and how there is no news and there is no justice but negative justice, negative value nature justice, as criminal insidiousness nature, as per what really is facilitating the overt criminal enterprises. People say, "Oh, drugs, all the drugs are fueling it." This is fueling it more than the drugs, and this is fueling it blamed on the drugs more. Money and stuff like that. Why do you think they have fentanyl? So the thing described is very scary. You just touch it because they need standing breaching positions, originally and still. Why do you think they have KKK? Their crimes with the undercover with this. These are there and here. Germany was already criminally foreign influence before since modern nations were born either. They're fake sides. Psychology is still delusions raw, interscience especially. But this is maintained per the breaching organized crime method. Recorded. I'm not even a lawyer, police, form criminal. Not military, boxing. Sammy Vega. He I don't know how well he speaks English or not, but he doesn't have the integrity. If I tell him to respond to crime acts, he's not going to help me. He don't care about me. I don't know him. You know what I'm saying? Those people are just, they go, hey, fuck it. Excuse my language. I mean, you want me to be, so they walk by, he plays a game with Ray Hernandez. That's also with Joseph Lieberman. Recorded, confessed, demonstrated, criminally involved. All these people from my town, criminally involved through time. Before I went to the area, everyone made confessions about it. Because that was tied to sequence shifts. Those confessions, because they wanted to make it look like I know those people. Especially the people I don't know at all. That got involved with crimes at Trinity College, CCSU, on and off of it. Election crime acts. Election crime methods recorded. How they have This abuse is by the of each age by the same people, only allowed to help them too. They use an old woman with church location also used criminally in the elections. So please fix the news. Don't make me beg. Give me someone. Give me a response because they're forging names, switching names. There's nothing to even talk about. Just respond to their crime acts, or have them tell me who denies it right here online. Because they're forging names, switching names. I told you that. They did that to me, to others. They torture people. This is recorded in many ways. People aren't going to say it because of the methods the courts use with the police forms. People, you don't even know about that because you never watched the defendant, former director of the FBI. You don't know about his daughter in my grade, all the people criminally involved with her. You don't know. Now there were child sex offenders and untimely deaths that brought that up, and worse, with my new and past neighbors. You don't know about that. You don't know about the state judicial branch criminally involved. The body dumping spot of Billy Grasso, criminally involved with forensics people in the area, associated with other body dumping spots too, criminally involved, and with the legal body dumping spots. You don't know about that. They have the WFSB coaching little girls in grammar school, lies about me with interbranch families because they're in their little creeps in the background, and they get away with it because they're, per them, because they attach me to fake conversations, fake behavior, fake relationships to others, fake sequence ship relationships to others, all exceptions criminally exploited. not by accident. This is a method that is consciously exploiting exception nature, which has an inseparable tie to the identity that inventions work or not in relationship to. So it's invisible but still discernible. And their further inventions are further positive or negative in relationship to this. So the further discernible. It is nature as value, and it is value as nature simultaneously, distinctly, and non-distinctly. So it is discernible. It is the identity. It is the value of the identity of the predicate of English and of the predicate act of the law simultaneously, distinctly, and non-distinctly. So it is discernible, and it is simultaneously. It is the identity that is the value of both ratiocination and pseudo-ratiocination simultaneously. So it is invisible but still discernible. And the value of that is invisible but still discernible. And that is Allah to teach this. It is other names of God to teach too. But per the algebraic consciousness, that English is revealed to teach about the identity of logic. God is algebra uses numbers as values known and uses letters as values unknown. So we have value G is a known and unknown. So we have two value G's, male and female nature. And then there's one more invisible but still discernible value J with the Trinity, which is, and we'll examine this. Value, in other words, letter G stands for God, value, value G. And for example, high stands for our nature's relationship to itself. See, people put drugs in there with that word high for the same reason they put black with slavery when everyone was a slave. And that's why if you contemplated it, that's why it has, even though everyone was a slave, that's left out. Only focus on slavery, calling it black, because all those hate groups like KKK and stuff, that has to do with how we have nations grouped, forced together, sharing policing, sharing undercover lies. You can't give it away. You can't. They're all knaves together. They can't think. They all came through criminally foreign influenced sciences. They're victim predators. This is a child abuse method that has nothing. It's exploiting the value nature system that all these market positions are tactically ulterior from. As real science, that's not science. That's a racket that left criminally and foreign influenced delusions rot and exploited that by a breaching method left by our founders to demonstrate. We have no free speech. We don't have free religion. We're being tortured. Stop. Free speech. As fast as what you guys hide keeps people going into jail each day, keeps people getting hurt each day, keeps torture every day, keeps people time wasted, keep people value wasted, keeps the identity of areas gone. Magna unfathomable. MAGA. Make America great again. Again. People say, oh, things got better. We're tactically denatured relationship to nature. The only thing got better is because technology made it harder for everyone to to do certain kind of crimes. But the same sick into criminally foreign influences it knew that was going to happen. It was in phases anyways. That's why I had everything so sick before. This knew how to make it so hard. The ancients learned that it was hard to come out of criminal foreign influence states area. But they before criminally foreign influence nation sciences, it's most probable they did because they knew how to make evolution. And they couldn't believe how people would forget how to make evolution, which is by being valued to the finite nature of volume, which is why we're individuals, finite nature, because that identity is inseparable from all parts of itself. Because we are active volume of nature. We're, in other words, as a quality diffusion, not just internally and externally, but also, that's why we're criminal insidious nature is. It's an effects nature, not just because we broke a law, especially especially not when laws are sick, criminal. In other words, we have the value of each age valued, obfuscated from correlation, distinctly and non-distinctly sickly everyone, sickly distinctly non everyone, so everyone wouldn't be able to see originally and still how sickly non-distinctly everyone's being hurt, and simultaneously fake cared for. This misprision natures of industries, natures of fact treatment valuing bodies, of correlation, valuing it, formally valuing it, hurt, obfuscated, incapable of its inherently simultaneously inherent active and progressive means. One way redeems. When all we need is recorded. And this is against Russians. And this is Americans against Americans. And how all kinds of ways. Recorded. So that's part of why they make conspiracy theories there and here against people. They have, you know, they pretend what they can't pretend. That's why they sustained. Please just fix the fake news. Give me a response, because we went to the court and they made the confessions to us. It's recorded too. They forge it in, switch it in, pretend they make mistakes with police reports, and then keep switching the police officers from a whole bunch of different cities and from on and off campuses officers. That's how sick they were criminal, because I caught them. Recorded with bad things leading up to the Trade Center attack, in the context, and since. And before that. This is crime. These are crimes and crime rolls with people associated criminally with the transition from ACA to RICO, which is the Organized Crime Control Act into the Racketeering Influenced and Corrupt Organization Act, regardless of the names of the acts. It's how they're obfuscating the identity that the predicate act is being hurt in relationship to by in the first place. Predicate acts are associated with organized crime, and that's what this is about. Every topic. So we want everyone to have as most fun as possible, as the New York game news that we're forced obligated to be. But we don't stop the news. In other words, the whole time we're contemplating every year, and then every year we get greater understanding how originally still, every time we try to have fun, every time there is fun, even if no one gets hurt, how that's being exploited, like that theater. Now there's no news being spoke, and there are countless issues that all they need is voice, and that's it. There are instant reliefs because we have liars hiding states and areas, hiding that from leaders and only letting roles with that realized. Everything that changes says, "Oh, I'm going to learn. Oh, I represent this. I represent this now. I represent this group of people." People have no rights because everyone's fighting to defend fact treatments that are only either types of rights or get lost. Psycho. That's a bunch of there are a whole bunch of natures of private and of also with overt criminal enterprises that are juxtaposed with and as the nature and methods and roles and motivations natures of our branches individually grouped and together. Recording names, forging names, switching names, pretending they do it for reasons they can't pretend on paper, not because they're shows their name, because it shows they're lying. They needed to do those crimes, and they're associated. All the six crimes in Wethersfield are tied to the ones that are further associated through times with facilitations of impositions on Garden Street in Hartford. Forget about it with CCSU, sick through time. That's why you have to report news when people get hurt. Don't keep it going and extorting us, and then want to debate about when I say things like that without responding to the crime acts. Let's go. Please hurry up. Please, because the Connecticut news had their opportunity, and they even to fix it after they did it because they were criminally involved before that. Also, with the Fianza family and with the Dillon family, and further recorded and confessed involved by people associated with the court with a Phil Colon, and with others involved with the area, further criminal, all kinds of ways, more child offenders even. So let's go. More state police associated with the child sex offenders, medical offenders, foreign and domestic too, and associated with Town Line Drive further too. Let's go.